How is it going, everybody? This is Pred doing another League of Legends cast. I know I haven't seen you guys in a while, but I don't have a good reason for that. About like last time, it is what it is, so to speak. And anyhow, I've actually got a couple of cool things going on. I was able to reach my goal, and I hit 1400 for the season, which that was my goal. And I'm going to turn sound on actually because I didn't have it on previously, because I don't usually play with the in-game music. But anyhow, so yes, I have hit my goal of 1400 and then some. Actually, I've actually cleared 1500 elo, and so that's all good. All good. This particular game is at roughly I'm going to say this one was right around 1400. I'd say between 14 and 1450. And it was a nice short game, and since I haven't uploaded anything in a while, I figured I would go ahead and upload one because you guys are still showing support. I'm still getting comments and messages, and that means quite a bit to me. It means that, you know, there are still people that tend to care what I'm doing, and that's always good to see. And so to get the plugging stuff out of the way right away, it does help, of course, immensely if you subscribe. And then if you have friends and you're enjoying what you see, tell them and let them know, and then we'll get more viewers. And the more I get, the more I'll know that you guys care. So anyhow, taking a look at what we currently have going on the blue team, we have Quirky, Amumu, Nunu, Twisted Fate, Janna, and then on the purple team it's Aurelia, Tryndamere, Singed, Nidalee, and Shaco. I don't know, well, so first off, I'm going to do this pretty much the way I've done most of them, and that is just an analysis of my gameplay, try to give a little bit of what was I thinking when doing certain things, as well as anything that maybe I could have done better, or that that I did well or did poorly. And for everyone who has not seen this, the League of Legends replay recorder is an amazing program, and so until Riot finally gives us legitimate replays, this is what I will be using to record my games. So anyway, down bottom we have me as Nunu, and I also have Sick Heretic is Janna. Sick Heretic is someone that I queue with a lot, and if you've ever checked out my streams when I'm playing, you'll note that I do play a lot with him. So first up, I don't know necessarily that this lane is terribly good. I mean, as it turns out, Nunu in a lane's not bad anyway. Nunu's pretty much a versatile champion. He's become one of my favorites pretty quickly. But typically speaking, you're going to want to put a support champion like Janna down here with someone who requires support. So I don't remember the exact reason why I picked Nunu, but so I did. And so we're just going to go through my escapades with Nunu. And I start with the Doran's Ring mostly because a little bit of ability power right off the bat's nice, as well as the mana regen is kind of nice because since I'm not going to be running around with blue, and Nunu's not terribly dependent on mana because of his passive, but still reasonably so, especially since I don't want to push the lane. And also, I guess for the drinking game for this particular one, let's see how many times I call myself Mumu, especially since there is a Mumu in this game on my team. Anyway, so I start out with Ice Blast. When I jungle, I start out with Consume, of course, and then I max Blood Boil out as a priority. But when I'm playing in the lane, I go ahead and just switch that around and get my Ice Blast first, since it lets me harass, although not necessarily harassing Tryndamere. I can do a little bit, I suppose, but ultimately Tryndamere does have his Vampiric Scepter, and he can heal, and I don't think that I have enough burst to just light him up. Again, I haven't played. This is a game from a while ago. I don't really remember what happened, so I'm not really sure. Not really sure what's going on. But we're just going to review it as a normal game then. I don't really have any more comments now, I suppose. Actually, you know what? No. Okay. So my typical goal when I play Nunu in the lane, when I jungle him, I tend to play him more as a support, tanky type champion, with the goal of being able to, and of course I missed that, but I'm going to stay focusing on Nunu for now. But I typically play him as a support champion with the goal of boosting my teammates, and the reason I do this is because if I'm playing him in the jungle, I'm going to be ganking and I'm going to be trying to exert control in the lanes. And I kind of feel that one of the better ways to do that as Nunu is to make whoever I'm going to gank with, make them that much stronger. So if I've been laning with someone and they've been harassing a decent amount, then all of a sudden my support makes them that much stronger. So in this case, you can see getting the Ice Blast first really helped out because I was able to get a double kill with this. I don't die, thankfully, but since he burned Flash, and I was able to flash up right next to him. Now, I don't know that I would recommend that typically speaking, but I wanted the double kill. So in the meantime, Janna is just going to get the creep kills. Janna, I do know that Heretic plays Janna. I think this is something that's going around on the Euro servers a lot, and playing them without getting many creep kills. As you can see, Janna has got more than me, as I say, little creep kills. That's, Apparently I'm doing a bad job of last hitting, but I know typically speaking, when he plays Janna, he doesn't get many of the last hits. He just wants to get gold for 5 items and get his stuff that way. So if we look up top, you can see that Shaco, I think it was Shaco just killed TF. I can't really, the reason I'm not going to show these a lot is because the game, or the replay recorder will tell you that its updates aren't terribly accurate when it comes to spots that you can't visibly see, and that just has to do with way the game, or way it's able to pick up data. So for the most part, we're going to stick down here with me. But you can see I picked up my boots and my ruby crystal. Now, presumably, I'm going to get a Banshee's Veil pretty quickly. Actually, if I'm laning, I'll probably pick up a Rod of Ages, and the reason for that being that I plan to be doing more in the way of, damage, which means I do enjoy having the Rod of Ages for damage. I don't typically get it if I'm going a more tanky type, and the reason being that I think that other than the AP and some of the mana regen and some of its offerings, I think there's better choices for a tank, and this is the same reason why I don't pick it up on like Cho'Gath or something like that. I know some people, even as a tank, people will grab the Rod of Ages on Cho'Gath. I don't do that because, again, I think they're just better choices for the tank. And when he is tanking, he doesn't need the AP, he doesn't need the mana regen, and he never needs the health, really. Resistances are much more effective on him. So anyway, this laning phase, just dancing around. We are about 7 minutes in, and I am still apparently doing terrible on creep kills. I don't remember doing this bad, but then again, I don't really remember the game, so who am I to judge? You can see that I am leveling Ice Blast up first. The great slow on it is good, of course, and then the damage. And I'm not sure why it's playing so glitchy right now. This might actually be because there's been a patch since I played this game, so I almost wonder if the replay recorder's having issues with that. But hopefully I can still get enough of the gist out that it's still a decent game. So actually, let's go ahead and talk about Nunu as a champion. Nunu's kind of strange, I believe, as champions go, for a couple reasons. So Nunu is actually capable of, he's capable of buffing, he's capable of creating a giant speed differential between champions, and by this I mean he can slow enemy champions and speed up friendly champions. And that's pretty huge, especially if you play him with an AD carry, so in our case this Corki. The fact that I can make him run faster and slow down an opponent is very helpful. Another thing to remember with Nunu is that he has Consume, which gives him, of course, laning power, or staying power in the lane, because even if you harass him, he can just consume and heal all of it back. So typically speaking, if for some reason I'm playing him in the lane and I'm playing against people who are just harassing me like crazy and maybe I'm having a hard time staying alive and doing anything, I'll go ahead and get a couple points in Consume, and as long as it makes me feel safe about staying in the lane a little bit longer. Obviously, I would like to go ahead and just get the Ice Blast first, but if it's me getting Ice Blast or me having to back every 5 minutes because I'm dying, I'm going to go ahead and get Consume before my Ice Blast. So here you can see we had a nice little group gank, and there's Singed, or TF throws his card on Singed, and I've heard that that's actually an issue that they've had. I heard that was an issue that they had where TF's card after ult he'll automatically throw it at something, so there's no guarantees on who he's going to hit. There you can see the nice chain ult guaranteeing the double kill between Mumu freezing them and then being able to not being able to run away from my own ult. I was able to secure the kills pretty quickly, so I am currently sitting at 4-0. And Mumu wants to get Dragon, which I believe is a good choice. Controlling Dragon has become one of my top priorities in this game. I quite regularly am screaming about not getting Dragon. And Nunu's good to have because Consume deals a pretty significant amount of damage, so we're able to secure Dragon relatively easily. One thing to remember too with Dragon is he's worth roughly 2 kills, which means if you get Dragon and the guy who jungles dies, then that's probably, you probably still made out okay. I mean, unless the guy had a huge bounty on him or something. But you probably made out okay because, again, Dragon's worth roughly 2 kills. And I'm not sure where the math for that comes from, but I do know that I've heard that repeatedly among the top player community. So again, I'm getting, it looks like I am going to, well, you know what, I can't say this because I'm probably going to get Merc Treads. I don't know if this Catalyst is going to become a Banshees or if it's going to become a Rod of Ages. I do know Banshees is one of the best items to get on Nunu, and the reason for that is that because his ult deals so much damage, a lot of times people will, they'll try to stun you and burn you out of your ult, which just actually ends up being a good deal anyway because then they're not ulting your carries and stuff like that, because Nunu is not an AD carry or even an AP carry. So you want people focusing on you as much as you can, and one way to do that is to get Banshees, because then it forces them to burn 2 forms of stun, snare-ish thing in order to actually pop you out of your ult. And again, that's just 2 effects that don't get applied to your carries, and that's always so good, because right now I have a lot of kills, but to be perfectly honest, that's not the rule. That tends to be the exception. I usually don't get a huge amount of kills on Nunu. I tend to get a lot of assists. But right now, most of my kills are because of the fact that I'm playing with a Janna, and Janna's probably not going to get a lot of kills, so, and the Mumu ganked, and so again, Mumu's not really going to get a huge amount of kills, which means I'm more likely to get them. So again, my overall goal is to make him somewhat tanky for a couple reasons, especially because oftentimes I try to take the role of going just crazy and just running into the team, you know, help initiate. And another thing I've found a pretty high use for his ult with is zoning. So let's take, for example, let's say that there's 2 champions on this side and then there's 3 on this side. And let's say we're over here killing these 2 champions and these 3 want to come engage. But if I ult, say right here, they now have to make the decision of, am I going to run through his ult and risk dying, or am I going to just basically let those 2 people die? And so you'll see that oftentimes you can actually use his ult to great effect. And even though his ult's not a fear or anything, you're going to find that quite often people are very reluctant to stand in your ult, which means that they're going to scatter pretty quickly, and when they scatter, that works out amazing for you, because then your team basically gets to chew people up while they try to run away, because no one's going to want to really fight in Nunu's ult, because the scaling on it is just, well, you can see I have 19 and it deals plus 48. I mean, that's a massive, massive scale increase. So we continue on, and I am just sitting here farming, and this tends to be what the laning phase is like. I have noticed, I don't know if Shaco comes back, so if not, then it's going to make it seem like this is a terrible game. But it's 7-2 right now. Not to say that that's over, but I do know Shaco leaving probably hurt them significantly. Here's actually something that I think, if this is what I think it is, this is about to be a pretty funny event. Oh no, this might not be it. There is a pretty funny event. Me and Sick Heretic were trying to communicate with each other inside of Vent, and something does happen in this game that it sounded good in theory, but it ended up not working out quite so well in practice. So we can see Shaco is still away, and again, if he ends up staying gone this whole game, I'm going to be a little bit depressed, just because, you know, it's like, oh, we won a 5v4, good job. But I think that overall, it's still a good learning experience. So reviewing some of the strengths of Nunu, I actually should have gone over that, or finished going over that rather. So let's look at his consume. Obviously dealing true damage to minions and then restoring health. So the first thing to notice is that this thing restores health, and that's huge because, you know, obviously it gives him staying power. But then when you look at what else does that mean? Well, if it restores, or because it deals true damage to minions, that also means that when you're getting Dragon or you're getting Baron, you basically have a smite. This gives you a free smite that heals you. So you can oftentimes steal buffs. You can steal creeps, like steal Dragon, steal Baron, and all sorts of things. Because again, this ends up getting a pretty high damage. I can't remember what it maxed out at. I want to say it's like 900 true damage to minions, and then it heals you for much. Actually, it might not. Okay, so here's the cool event. We were going to do a flash. He told me to ult. Or, well, not that he told me. So we were going to try, I ult, he flashes, ults into my ult. And then we were going to just see how much damage that does. And as you can see, it was a pretty large fail. In fact, Cinch walked out there mostly unscathed. The vent chat was pretty funny, but of course that's not going to be recorded in this replay. But anyway, back to some of the things with Nunu's Consume. So the ability to heal yourself is amazing. And one thing, actually, not that I recommend trolling, and I don't really consider this trolling, I suppose, because you're still going to be attempting to help your team. One of the things that's fun to do, that I enjoy doing, is getting a Will of the Ancients on him, because it makes his Consume heal him for even more, because it'll be based off the true damage. And so it's kind of funny, because you end up healing for just a lot when you have the Will of the Ancients. But again, so all the reason for this, the reason why there's goodness in Consume, helps him jungle, of course, because he can stay in the jungle and heal, and he also can deal super damage to creep. So moving on to his next skill, his Blood Boil is good because it increases the unit's attack speed and movement speed. Now, attack speed's good, obviously, on any champion that relies on attack speed, but the movement speed is good for everybody. It's good for running towards people, good for escaping. So typically how I prioritize, if we are in the middle of a fight, I will Blood Boil our AD carry. So in this case, if we were in a team fight, I would Blood Boil our Corki. And if we are getting ready to engage, I'll typically Blood Boil our tank, because obviously the speed helps the tank engage quicker and stuff, so I'll Blood Boil him. Another important thing to remember about Blood Boil is that it does actually affect you if you hit a teammate with it. So that's good, because then that means that you basically, you hit your teammate and you're going to get it as well. And you can see here, I actually just die. I didn't do much at all, but ultimately that was okay, because right now we're 1 for 1. I can't remember if we end up getting Aurelia too. So there's 2 for 1, and we're actually going to get the dragon. Maybe we did get the dragon. I don't remember. But either way, so I don't think that engagement was terribly bad. But I did die, so I'm now 4-1-1. I'm going to go ahead and purchase my Blasting Wand. So it does look like I am going to go ahead and turn this Catalyst into a Rod of Ages, like I assumed I would, because I like to get that as early as possible, simply because the longer... It's an item that stacks with increase in time, which means that the longer you have it, the more effective and the more cost-effective it was for you to get it. Obviously, if you get it at, say, 50 minutes and the game ends at 55 minutes, then that wasn't too terribly useful for you, because you only got half its stacks, and you weren't able to utilize its effect very long. But if you get it at, say, 20 minutes, and then the game lasts for 55 minutes, well, you've now had this thing for 35 minutes, so not only were you at full stacks, but you also gained its benefit of being full stacks for quite some time. And again, I can't remember, I think it was Wicked has the, he does this streaming, and I'm pretty sure he's one with the spreadsheet that actually talks about gold efficiency and items. And I'm pretty sure that at max stacks, Rod of Ages was considered a very efficient item. So you have that. Now again, I don't know how those calculations were done, so I can't say one way or the other, but yeah, so yeah, you can see I am getting my Rod of Ages. So anyway, back to Blood Boil again. I know I kind of take some random tangents here, and I'm sorry, it's just I don't typically collect my thoughts. I just kind of go. But anyway, so Blood Boil, attack speed and run speed, of course, is huge, because you can use it to initiate. You can also use it if someone's about to die and they need to run away. You can do your Blood Boil and oftentimes save them. And then, so we move on to the next ability, and that is Ice Blast. Ice Blast deals a huge amount of damage. It has a 1-to-1 AP ratio scale, and it slows by 25%. And it, with a good amount of CDR, you can see I'm at 13% now. I get up to, what, plus 22%, so like whatever that is with the golem. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's a pretty short cooldown. So the slow is actually, it slows their movement speed by 60% and their attack speed. This is actually major. Because of the fact, again, Blood Boil increases movement speed and attack speed, Ice Blast slows it, slows both of them. So, I mean, you create these huge differentials between champions. So a champion, say the 2 champions were equally, were equivalently geared. So let's take the example of, say, Corki and Aurelia. If they were on even footing, and I'm not going to get into whether or not one champion's overpowered compared to the other, that's not my point. My point is that if you take 2 champions that were on even footing, and Nunu shows up, he destroys that even footing, because I increase the attack speed by 45% and then decrease theirs by 25%. I've just created a 70% differential between their attack speeds. Not to mention I increase my allies' run speed, say now at 13%, and reduce theirs by 60, movement by 60%. I mean, I'm creating huge differentials. And again, that's one of the biggest strengths of Nunu, is that it's not so much that he does a lot of damage, because he is capable of dealing good damage, but the biggest thing that Nunu does is he makes your AD carry significantly more powerful than their AD carry. Here you can see Nidalee disconnected, and man, this is turning into a bad game, but I'm going to go ahead and keep casting. So just keep in mind when you watch this that, you know, I'm aware that, oh, I only won because now it's a 5v3. But the ultimate thing is that they're still learning to be had. So that's why I guess we're just going to take this as a fun game and not really worry about anyone's playing or anything. I just want to explain Nunu. So again, biggest thing about Nunu. Oh, game is over. So the biggest thing about Nunu, such huge differentials with Blood Boil and Ice Blast, and then ultimately, or the last part being his ult, obviously giving you pretty significant zone control and then damage if anyone actually decides to stay in your ult, and that's major as it turns out as well. So I'm going to try to get some more up here at some point as well. Hopefully I get some more good games. I'm currently sitting at right under 1500 ELO. I'm hoping to clear it again before the season ends, and then my goal for next season is actually get up to 1800. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I know that this was kind of a one-sided game, but still I wanted to show Nunu, and that was the last game that I actually had played as him, and I didn't remember what happened. So, but if you did like it, please subscribe. Please leave comments, leave messages. I try to get back to comments and messages as quick as I can. And then, of course, as always, if you have friends and you think that they might be interested in it, let them know about it so we can keep growing this. So, all right, guys, thank you. See ya.